Oh, we're live, baby, with the executives, and we've united the three members of the New Age Alpha Dogs. Again, we're back, and we're going to have all the Dynasty moves that you need to make on the Dynasty Roundtable, starting right now. Gentlemen, how's it going?
Dude, love the cold open. Love it. Felt like I'm on SNL, baby. Cold open, let's do it.
There you go. Cody, how you doing?
Tab Famulous, New Age Alpha Dogs in the hizzy. Couldn't be happier to be back. Couldn't be happier.
Cody also taught me, anyway, a new word about 45 minutes ago. What was it again?
We're gonna try to break the demonetization record.
No, that's not even a bad word. It was
you guys haven't been demonetized since I was on one of these shows. You know that.
No,
not nearly as bad. Well, I don't understand. Somebody's gonna have to explain YouTube to me, because Alan Seslowski can talk about whatever body part on him he wants to, and those never get demonetized. And like Matt Babish will go, "Oh, bullshit!" And then
there you go.
Yeah,
we got it. You just did it.
I almost said I can't say I can't say bull crap. You know, I can't do it. I don't have it in me as a human being to, go, oh gosh darn. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. But the point is,
he's this episode analysis.
Exactly. This episode will get demonetized, but the one that they actually anyway, I don't understand YouTube. Somebody explain.
Here's the word.
To me.
Here's the word. The word is edentulous.
Edentulous.
And after that, you can fill it in with whatever curse word you want. Edentulous.
That means
that's how it
toothless,
works.
Blah blah blah.
Toothless.
Nick Tabs, Mr. Pfizer, dude. Aaron Rodgers is so lame. He was thinking of that all week. And then if you listen, so I also listened to the Kelsey's podcast, and Travis Kelce explained how I saw Aaron Rodgers. I had to make sure I went up to him. He was mad nice about it. And then you have see you next Tuesday-ish. Rodgers oh, Mr. Pfizer, he's just insufferable. I'm with you, Seth. He's insufferable.
He's a dog, bro.
No, I've known.
He's a donkey.
He's an idiot.
Donkey. He's an edentulous donkey.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad he got hurt. So mad he got hurt. All right.
Yeah,
well,
sure.
If we don't do this now, I'm going to forget about it. I've got a rivalry to run, an informative segment from the Podfather. But right afterwards, we will get into all things Dynasty. We'll even answer some of your questions right after this.
This episode is brought to you by Rival Fantasy. Rival Fantasy, the coolest fantasy platform not enough people know about, but they will once I'm done, baby, because they're always innovating. They just rolled out seasonal leagues. We set them up for patrons, for our listeners, and they funded over $1,000 in payouts. That's what Rival's all about. They're always innovating. They already had the fantasy book where you can take overs and unders, stack them up, multiply your payout, but then they added challenges so you can set your own lines and put them out there for the community, and then you can browse the community's lines and say, hey, this guy's crazy, I'm going to take the other side. It's cool. And they have fantasy bingo. Rival Fantasy is reminding me how much fun I can have with fantasy football, and use that promo code PLAYER. The promo code is PLAYER. They give you a $100 instant deposit match plus $25 plus a free play. That promo code is PLAYER for up to $125 in deposit bonus and a free play. You can't beat it.
Rival Fantasy, promo code PLAYER. Don't forget about the Dynasty Warzone that airs Thursday, 5 p.m. Go check it out. Memphis Young is the man, and you never know who he's going to have on that program. So it's Memphis Young's been on this program. He's the man.
Oh,
so go check that out. So one of my favorite people in the industry for sure. But we have two of my other favorite people here tonight, and I have to ask you guys right off the bat. I mean, is this the week? Is it going to happen for Johnathan Taylor this week? What's your advice for people who drafted him, and what are we doing with him in Dynasty, Cody?
I have him RB16 this week. It is a strong front against Tennessee. I'm not sure how much higher I'll get than RB16, but I feel positive about him getting a 60% split, 60-40. If you compare what he did the first 3 games last year to what Moss has done in his first 3 starts this year, I believe the number is Taylor has 2 less carries in that stretch. Taylor had 6 more yards and 2 more receptions. So it's almost identical stat lines, and the offensive line is considerably better this year than it was last year. So I think Taylor coming back, and again, it's such a weird dynamic that we've seen now, just coming from a month ago to right now, where it seems like, oh yeah, he's happy, he wants to be back on the team. It's like, I thought he didn't want to be here. If you would ask me 3 weeks ago what I thought Taylor would be, it would 15% chance he's back in Indianapolis. Now I feel like it's like a 70% chance that he fields on Sunday. It should probably be 80-90%. But I don't know. Expectation this week, there's going to be a little rust, right? There's going to be a little bit of rust at least to begin with. They get to Tennessee, a strong front, and then next week they go to Jacksonville. You think he gets ramped up. Cleveland's a tough front. New Orleans is a tough front. Like, there's a couple of tough matchups coming down the pipeline. But it's Johnathan Taylor, and this is a top 5 offensive line. So I'm trusting the process on Taylor, and I'm going to start buying. I should have been buying already, but I was worried. So I'm going to start buying.
What about you, Maddie? What are your thoughts on Taylor?
I think Cody broke down my analysis on how to utilize him. If you roster him, you probably should look to bench one more week. I will say, though, according to PFF, the Indianapolis, or I should say the Tennessee Titans run defense, the Tennessee Titans run defense is actually pretty piss poor, 52.1 grade in the rush defense. They give up the 11th most points to the league average, just over a point over league average. But I think there'll be some rust. I think they'll ease him back in. So I do want to wait, but I'm buying if I can. Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about Johnathan Taylor, that if you waited this long, you've already effed up, because this is peak value back. I mean, how much value does he have back now that he's going to play? It's just he was a ticking time bomb. Every single week his value is climbing. So you waited too long. But if he's going to be a game changer for you, and if the person in your league has indicated one iota that he could be available, I'd still be willing to pay. Over the next month, Indianapolis has a pretty weak schedule. They should be able to smash against some poor rush and run defenses over the next month or so. So in my redraft leagues, I'm also buying because he could be your ticket out of the basement.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for cutting you off, Seth, but I want to say, you said PFF has the Tennessee defensive line or defense as a bottom 5?
They're really good against the run, I thought.
I was going to say, they haven't given up 80 rushing yards in the season.
That's
like
what
61, 69, 72, 78 on the ground. Like, you kind of put my brain in a tizzy when you said that, and I was like, whoa, I got to go look this up. But they haven't given up over 80 total rushing yards on the season to Cleveland, Cincy, New Orleans, or the Chargers, to my knowledge.
No, I didn't say bottom 5 rush defense. But
you say like 31st or something?
No, I gave the grade. They're according
the grade
to
is 31.
No, the grade's 66. They are Tennessee right now, just rush grade, not overall defense, just rush grade. Right now is the 4th, 6th. They're 10th in the NFL for rush grade on PFF.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But they are also, maybe this is where you guys lost me. I was talking about the specific matchup. They give up, they're the 11th most advantageous matchup according to our over league average statistic that we use in PlayerProfiler. So it's a decent matchup it's at least according to the analytics, it's a softer matchup in terms of however they do the grading. I'm not part of the grading, I just recite the grading.
So
interesting. Okay.
You don't shoot the messenger is what you're saying. So on Johnathan Taylor, my advice, and I feel like my advice on Johnathan Taylor was predicated on the fact that I wasn't sure if he was going to come back. Like these reports are conflicting, but you guys seem pretty confident that he's going to come back this week. And if he is going to come back this week and he is going to be eased into the role, I don't know if I would be all that confident in starting him this week, because I could see it being, 50-50, 40-60. I mean, who knows? We're just not sure. But if we know for certain he's going to play, then absolutely. But yeah, like Maddie said, he probably waited too long. I mean, if anything, like you could probably only hold, or if you're not a fan, you're a seller right now, because his value is peaking. Like it's going back up again where it was in the toilet. Now it's going back up. So I'm intrigued. I think you have to hold him. I think that's kind of what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I think my official advice would be like to see what you can, like, to put him on the block and see what happens. I mean, that never hurts. But I'm either hold or sell, me personally, because this whole situation is just, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But what do you guys think? Do you think there's a world where he doesn't play at all this season, or do you think he's for sure coming back and playing?
I think
Based on the last couple of
1000%.
days, I would say he's Sorry
Yeah.
for cutting you off, but yeah, just based on the last couple of days,
sure.
I'd say he's playing.
Okay. Because that, like, when I was talking with Matt, we were like, oh, like on the Minded Mansion, this show I was on. Anyway, not to plug that. But we've all been on the Minded Mansion here.
Yeah.
So
We were
all
just
of us
talking about it.
Yeah, we were all talking about our experience on the show, and Matt and I were discussing this, and it was very uncertain at that time. So it's like things change so quickly in fantasy football, and definitely you gotta, as my advice, my general advice, like, don't be afraid to sort of shift your opinion or your way of thinking, because this news and information, especially with weird situations like Johnathan Taylor, don't be stubborn like I can be sometimes. Just
Bayesian
be willing
process.
to, yeah, exactly. Bayesian process. So, shout out to the chat. The chat's killing it. We had a question I wanted to get to. We have Booba in the chat. Purdy or Burrow? Got to pick wide receiver 2 flex from Chase, Lamb, Dell, Myers, Ayuk. Also got a trade offer for Ayuk for Robinson Jr. Got A-Chain Moss. Man, that is a loaded comment, but what do you guys make?
That would get like a ban on Sunday morning in the I would get like put you in timeout for 5 minutes and rethink your question.
Let's just start at chapter 1. Chapter 1, Purdy or Burrow? I'm assuming this week.
Purdy. It's got to be Purdy.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's this week, right? Yeah. I have Purdy 15 and Burrow. Ooh, I have Burrow 14. They're playing Arizona.
Right.
And Purdy's playing Dallas. I have Burrow at 14. Technically, I got Burrow ahead of him.
Gosh, I guess the matchup would favor Burrow, but golly,
I don't want to though. I mean,
Purdy's matchup proof with Shanahan and those weapons.
Feels like it, don't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna go Purdy. I can't trust Burrow. And then the 2 for the flex, I think Chase.
Chase, Lamb, Dell, Myers, Ayuk. Chase, Lamb, Dell, Myers, Ayuk. You got to pick 2.
Ayuk. I think
this guy's team is broken.
Chase, Lamb, Ayuk is basically the decision of 2. Which 2 of those 3 are we starting? So Cody, let's say what do you got in your rankings? Go through your ranks at
Chase
receiver.
At 4.
So you're
Lamb
playing Chase.
5.
Then you're playing Lamb. So that's your answer right there.
Chase and
Dell
Lamb.
at 13. And I don't know, where's Ayuk? 30.
Wow, you have him that low, huh?
So that's gonna be a Stephon Gilmore special, I would have to imagine. And this could be an old school little defensive matchup. So I think I'm with you, Cody. Let's go with the 2 studs. Okay, it's week 5. Right. Let's not get scared. It's Lamb and and Chase. What the hell did you draft those 2 guys 1-2 if you're not gonna stick to them through thick and thin?
Also, is Robinson Jr.? So there was one more question on there too.
Was it Brian or Bijan?
Oh my goodness!
I think Robinson Jr. is Brian. I think.
Yeah,
Bijan's not Jr., right?
No.
Okay, so Ayuk for Robinson. Given this lineup, I would see if I could get an extra. He also has A-Chain and Madison. Yeah, I think he could use that running back more than he could use the receiver. I just think at this point, Ayuk's value is high. Booba.
Dude, you know what he should have done?
More.
He should have traded Moss for Robinson last week, and just dropped his sack in the freaking wheelbarrow and said, "I think Taylor's coming back and Moss is going to lose his job."
That would have been nice.
And that would have been the move.
But you could also now use Moss with Ayuk to get a nice little second piece along with Brian Robinson. But I do think getting Brian Robinson's a good process right now. He's just getting the volume, and I hate to say it.
All right. My brain hurts from 3 questions and no punctuation at all. Well, there's a comma in there. Sorry.
Got the editor
Teacher.
here.
All
Yeah,
right.
the editor has to.
What are we doing with Justin Fields and Dynasty? I'll hit you with this hammer right over the head. Maddie, we'll start with you. What are we doing with Justin Fields?
I think we're holding a Justin Fields. I think you have to hold. In Superflex leagues, the return for Fields, I still think, is at probably 80%. And that's just, I don't want to sell right now. When you look at his upcoming schedule, he's got some pretty good matchups. I know this Thursday might be tough. So if you're okay gutting through a potential tough matchup on Thursday, it gets a lot easier on the other side for the Bears for a few weeks. So I don't think I'm willing to sell right now. Give me a few weeks, and I think the play is hopefully he could put a couple of these good games together over the next 4, and then you can reevaluate whether you want to kind of go for someone that's win now. Maybe it's a Stroud in redraft, so a trade like that. But in Dynasty, I mean, what are you going to get right now for Fields if you're contending? That makes it okay to trade someone that could be that much of a difference maker. We saw what he did last week, and I know the consensus is saying we can't have faith in it because it's with his arm. But sometimes what happens in the fantasy world is we want something to happen so bad for so long that when it finally does, it's like a dog chasing a tail. It's like we can't catch it. So it's like it's a Tony Pollard effect. Everyone loved Tony Pollard for years, and then he's going to get the role, and everyone's like, fade Tony Pollard. I mean, obviously not everybody, but that seems to be some of the echoes. So I think in this respect, like we're finally waiting on Fields to have a good passing game, and he does, and we're like, don't have any faith in that. It's like, doesn't that seem counterintuitive? Like we know he can rush, and now we're seeing some passing. Don't we want both? So I'm holding.
I heard that Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos, again, this is just me listening to Bears Talk Radio, so no confirmed sources here, but they were planning on Justin Fields having a ton of design runs, and the Bears basically went in the opposite direction and had Fields throwing the football. And that's, so they were planning on spying him. And anyway, so Fields, I mean, had an excellent 3 quarters of football. There's no doubt about it. But man, Cody, we were talking in the other show. 3 quarters is not 4 quarters. So what's your official opinion on Justin Fields? Was this performance enough to kind of sway you in another direction, or are you steadfast in your Justin Fields? I don't know. What do you think?
I tell you what, that 12 for 12, $185 and 3 touchdowns in the first half, that was exactly what all the, he was number 1 in MVP bets coming into the season. Like that 12 for 12, $185 and 3, that was MVP Justin Fields. But those last 2 drives, man, that was 2023 Justin Fields with the fumble that turns into a touchdown and the pick to end the game, forcing the ball into a tight crevice. You have to be able to make those throws right there. All the cute stuff from minute 1 to minute 48 is awesome. It's nice. But where do the bests make their money? In the last 10, right? Brady makes his money in the last 10. Rodgers made his money in the last 10. All those guys, right? I know there's only 2. That's the 2 GOATs. But you get what I'm saying here, right? Mm-hmm. Even Kirk Cousins is good in the last drives of games if it's not in the playoffs. And Fields is showing that he can play for the majority of the game. But when push comes to shove, pick in a pushed throw, I think you hold Justin Fields here because you can't get anything near what you paid for him as far as value goes to get back. The thing that I'm worried about is that, and I mentioned it on the last show, but I didn't break it down much, was the Justin Fields and Zach Wilson. It's too perfect that they both have that good 3 quarters, and then they both flounder it in the fourth quarter and the same weekend. And so I did some research while I was going through my top 10 thoughts this week over at Roster Watch, and that was that Christian Ponder had a game completing 81% of his passes. He had 2 touchdowns, a pick, 174 yards, and he beat RG3 34-27. That was in his 32nd start out of 36. He was benched 4 games later. Jake Locker had one of his best career games, 69% completion percentage, 378 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, in a 44-41 win over Detroit. That was in his 21st out of 23 career starts. 2 later, he was benched. Tim Tebow had a game completing 67% of passes, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a win over Minnesota 35-32. That was in his 10th of 15 regular season starts. All 3 of those guys have something in common. They were first-round picks. They suck. They were overrated. They had good games near the end. It's one last hurrah. That's what it feels like, at least for Zach Wilson. Now, again, you have Chris Jones come out and vouch for him, whatever. Justin Fields, I have a little more trust and believe that there's something there that can be built in, but it worries me that over the course of 2 years, we haven't seen it actually take place where you can actually see monumental growth in the passing, monumental growth in understandings of pocket presence, monumental growth in understanding when to take the ball down and run, when to check certain things, when to go here, when to pass on this. You just haven't seen it with either of these guys. That's what worries me the most. So I'm holding him for now. I don't know what the hell I'm hoping for because they have 2 picks that are going to be in the top 5 this year. So I don't know what I'm hoping for. That he sits behind Caleb or Drake next year, I don't know. Or that he gets traded to Buffalo and he follows the Mitch Trubisky career arc. Like the floor could really fall out on Fields. That's what I'm scared of.
So let me ask you this, Cody, then. Do you think if he has, let's just say, over the next 4 games, he puts up 2 games, 25 more fantasy points, 2 good games, are you going to sell at that point? Like, that's where I'm at. I'm at a hold.
If they lose those
this
football
stretch.
games.
If they win, okay, so the Bears winning factors in them. That's a good point. That's a good thing to bring up.
But yeah, because I mean, I know we're talking fantasy, but like in the grand scheme of like his value, like he's got to be a starter to have any value, right? Like that's as soon as they put Tyson Bagent in, it's gone.
Oh, it's over.
And
it's
I
over
think,
at that point.
and
yeah.
I think that, and again, like people don't want to hear this, but I think that those days are closer than they are further away. Like Tyson Bagent went from 3 to 2, right?
Yeah.
We saw that already happen. He's the most prolific quarterback in the history of college football. I'm not sitting on here in a soapbox to say Tyson Bagent's better than Justin Fields, but what I'm saying is he's progressed more in 4 months than Justin Fields has in 2 years. So I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I guess if you're talking about selling Fields, if he puts up another game today, like this week of, he puts up 20-25 tomorrow night. Sure. I mean, I don't know if they lose though. Like if it's a 28-17 game and he goes for 220 in the air and 70 on the ground and scores a touchdown, and they still lose. People are going to be like, well, he's at least, he's looking competent, and he throws a pick and they lose. I don't know. Like, I don't know what to do. That's what I'm saying.
No.
I'm stuck in a weird spot. I'm scared the floor can just fall out at any time.
I also want to add this when it comes to rostering Fields. A benefit that we have is we have a lot of red flags. We have a lot of indicators. We can ride the wave pretty close to the shore before we have to dive off it, in my opinion, because what Cody brings up, I think, is the thing we need to look at. The faith in him through the Bears and the winning record will indicate a lot. And when they go to Bagent, that'll be when they've decided that they are going to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, potentially even the Drake May sweepstakes. Because I think that if he rattles off a few wins, I don't think they're going to take Drake May over Fields if he wins some football games from here on out. But I think no matter what, they will take Caleb Williams over Justin Fields, and that will be indicated by some losses over the next month and a Tyson Bagent appearance. If Tyson Bagent comes into the game like Bailey Zappi did, it's over for Fields. It's over because I'm up here in Mass, and it feels like it's DUN for Mac Jones era.
Yeah, so I think I have a little bit different perspective. To be, I was asked this question on the My Dimension, and my position hasn't changed at all. Like, this is year 3. The Bears upgraded their offensive line. They brought in DJ Moore, fantastic trade with Carolina, and well, maybe not considering they could have had CJ Stroud, but they were never in a position to take a quarterback. They were always going to give Justin Fields another crack at it. But this is year 3. The excuses are drying up quickly. He just played Denver. Denver gave up 70 points to the Miami Dolphins and made Devon Achane, am I saying that wrong? Achane? Is that Achane?
Achane, yeah.
Achane. Devon Achane made him look like the second coming of Walter Payton on 4 touchdowns. Unbelievable. I mean, we'll talk more about Devon Achane later on, but Justin Fields needs to prove it again. And you're in hold mode if you're in Dynasty, because right now, if you sell, you're selling. I think 70 cents on the dollar is about what you're going to get. Like, you're not going to get full value, so you have to hold. This is a big test. That Washington defensive line is good. It's full of studs. The Bears offensive line, they might get Tevin Jenkins back. That might help. But the Bears offensive line's good enough. You have DJ Moore, Cole Kmet's a serviceable tight end. Darnell Mooney's good. Like, there are no more excuses. This is year 3, right? And the Bears coaching staff, you can say what you want to about the coaching staff. It's been awful. Awful is probably not a strong enough word for it. It's been horrendous.
It's been pretty terrible.
So you can blame the coaching all you want to, but I don't see other quarterbacks in similar situations. I mean, look at CJ Stroud. You're seeing it right away. You're seeing it right away in a very similar situation, right? Nobody thought Nico Collins was a world beater before this year. I mean, Tank Dell's a 3rd-round pick. We thought he was great. That's about it. I mean, Justin Fields needs to be more consistent. He needs to be better in these situations that Cody's talking about in order to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. Thursday's a big game for him, and this is exactly why Tyson Bagent, if you don't have him in Dynasty in a super flex, go at him. He's probably free. He was awesome. I know it's Shepherd. You're going to say, oh, Shepherd, where's that at? Where are they? In the field herding sheep? No, like,
pretty much.
He was awesome at the Senior Bowl. From what I hear, I was not at the Senior Bowl myself, but all the reports were that he was awesome. When the Bears signed him, I thought that was a good move. Maybe he's Tony Romo 2.0. I don't know, but
these damn Bear fans.
The long story short. Long story short is you are holding.
I think my glass is half full, isn't it?
Fields. You're holding. You're not like holding, like, what's his face from Kansas City, Juwan James.
Johnathan Taylor.
Oh my God, he's gonna have a rough go at it.
Anyway, so you're holding Justin Fields.
Seth, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
So up there, in you're a Bears fan. So do you follow the Bears, like, sports radio, Bears?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm all
What's
in.
The buzz? What's the buzz? Is it a?
Oh God. It's
give me the
burning right now.
It's DEFCON level 5, like DEFCON red. I mean, it's as bad as it's like Eberflus is the worst coach ever. Like, these decisions that he's making, the 4th and 1 call in the shotgun is the worst call that's ever been made by an NFL head coach.
That was pretty terrible. Yeah,
it was pretty bad. I mean, you got to utilize Justin's legs in that.
If you're gonna put him in shotgun, yeah, obviously.
Or a lot of people are like, oh, to kick the field goal or not to kick the field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 1. I mean, you blew a 21-point lead, which is the biggest. I think the biggest loss given up. It's like tied for the biggest deficit given up in franchise history.
Brutal.
So
but are they calling for Bagent at all?
Not yet. I think it's more on the coaching staff. So but we do have some questions. I turned this into a Bears show officially. Is exactly what I try to do. Single QB Dynasty League, got an offer for T-Law for Stroud. Are we there yet on Stroud? What do you think, T-Law or Stroud?
We talked about on yesterday's episode of The Hurdle on the executives of fantasy football here on YouTube. Check it out. That was the exact conversation we had. I'm going Stroud right now.
Strizzy. Got to be Strizzy. He passed him in that game in Duval. When he went down there and dog walked him and basically said, yo, you were supposed to be Sunshine. I'm not Sunshine because I don't have long hair, but I'm Sunshine because I progressed more in 4 months than you did in a year and a half, 2 years. And, Lawrence had that. Everyone gave him the Manning year, right? The Manning year when he threw all the picks. Like, oh, he can be Gucci, man. He can be Gucci. Now he's got Calvin Ridley. Guess what? Your boy CJ Stroud has Nico Collins playing in his college Marvin Harrison role. And he's got Tank Dell running the sickest routes, which kind of mirrors a guy or two that we know in Ohio State, which by the names of Olave and JSN. Those were his route gods, right? The guys where when you watch Stroud on tape, it was who are the guys that were always in the spot where the ball was supposed to be. It was always JSN and Olave. Now that's Tank Dell. And then he's got this big body over the top. That's Nico who's playing in that Marvin Harrison. Like, this is, I mean, they teed him up to win. In Jacksonville, I don't know, you can't say the same thing, but it doesn't seem like Lawrence has everything dialed in, and you got 2-year advantage for Stroud. I love what I'm seeing right now out of Stroud, so I'm gonna ride Strizzy as a quarterback 7 in Dynasty.
I'm gonna make it unanimous, and I'm gonna go Stroud too. So we got another question here. Would y'all trade Jamar, I'm assuming Chase, for Kenneth Walker? I have CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra rostered. My backs are Rashad and Madison. What do you think? Are we there? Are we there yet in Dynasty where we're panicking on Jamar Chase?
No,
I don't think
Absolutely
so.
not.
No,
But when
you
I
can't
look
do
at
it.
this roster, Kenneth Walker makes a huge difference on his team. But CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, and Jamar Chase was the dream 1, 2, 3 dragon stable in Dynasty. So you have it. Yeah, you don't give it away. Don't give it away at all. Figure out cheaper options at running back if you're trying to get some depth.
Am I crazy to think that Madison might be fine? Am I nuts for thinking that?
They just
He might be okay. He might be okay. Like he got 69.
the offensive line is terrible, bro.
Yeah.
Terrible. It's Darisaw and O'Neal, and in between, it's terrible.
Okay.
Terrible. And like they told you, trust me, I went to the Vikings training camp and I literally tweeted this and I talked about Madison all fall, and they gave him a 90-10 split in camp. The 10 was CJ Ham. It wasn't Ty Chandler. It wasn't Dwayne McBride. It was 90-10 Madison. Like they told us they liked Madison. They told us they were going to put him in this role. And they told us they didn't give a rat's ass about McBride or Ty. And they brought in Kareem Hunt, didn't sign him. They brought in Mike Davis, didn't sign him. They didn't even entertain Fournette. They didn't entertain Zeke. They didn't trade for anybody. Like they told you what they wanted to do. The reason he started out so flat was his offensive line is dog water. So I'm trusting Madison.
Well, and then they traded for Cam Akers, and it was still.
But that was like a free. That was like a. It was like.
And that was later. I know what you were saying. You were talking about like going into the
pop.
season, they didn't do anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they just took a free flyer on Cam Akers a couple weeks in.
Yeah, but the perception is, oh, they traded for Cam Akers. Here we go, Cam Akers. And then in the first game that Cam Akers is active, 69% snap share for Madison and about 30% for Cam Akers. So I like.
And who was the guy that didn't get a single fantasy point in that game at running back for the Vikings?
Was it
Ty
Cam
Ty Chandler?
or Ty Chandler?
Ty Chandler. That's why they brought Akers in.
Okay.
Because Chandler doesn't practice for shit, and he shows up on game day. He's not a practice guy. Like that's a well-known fact. He's not a practice guy. And when you're not a practice guy, you have to be a fucking stud to be put out there on game
with
day.
that BS.
I mean, he's a good prospect at Tennessee and at North Carolina, but you have to be a motherfucker to get that opportunity. If you're just a gamer, not a practice guy, you can't.
No, you got to be a dog.
Yeah. So
you got to practice.
That's my thoughts on that.
Producer Jay is killing it in the chat. He's got a question. Would either of you move Garrett Wilson or Waddle for Kenneth Walker? It's same question, really. I mean, I would not do that because I think Garrett Wilson is one of the bigger buys in Dynasty right now because of the quarterback situation and the perception of that. And a lot of people don't think Zach Wilson can repeat. I think the Jets would be doing a malpractice if they start Zach Wilson for the rest of the season with that defense. I think the longer they wait, the worse it's going to get for them. And they seem like GM coach kind of in desperation mode, right? I mean, the stars were aligned with Aaron Rodgers. They had to do something this year. So that makes me think that the situation for Garrett Wilson will be better. So my answer to this question is I like Garrett Wilson the best, even though coming into the season, I thought he was overvalued. Waddle and then Kenneth Walker. I think what do you guys think?
It's kind of along the same lines as that last one. We did so much work together over the summer, the three of us, that we kind of all gravitated to a handful of players at receiver, some team builds. We did a number of startups together, and Cody executed this team build marvelously in multiple, where he took the double dragons, the two receivers at the end of the startup or at the end of the first round, early second startup. And that was usually Garrett Wilson, AJ Brown, or Garrett Wilson and CeeDee Lamb. Like it was these two receivers. So if that was the plan, and we all were confident about it, all three of us liked that strategy. That was only a month ago. Stick to the plan, guys. Stick to the plan. It's only week 5. And another thing about Walker, I love Kenneth Walker. but you are
Yes.
buying at the 98th percentile for Bryce.
Yep.
You're getting into the card market at the peak. There's no room for profit here and a ton of room for a huge hole in your lineup. So I'm not looking to trade one of these top-tier receivers for even a top-tier running back like Walker going into week 5.
And on top of that, it feels like a buy low on Waddle right now because of the output we've seen, and a buy high on Walker. But you have to remember, we're talking Dynasty, and Walker, despite being 23, like we know he's got a couple years in him, Waddle's going to be here for 8 more years, 7 more years, 8 more years. Projecting in this offense with Mike McDaniel, and Tyreek's going to be gone in a year and a half per Tyreek. Like whose offense is this at age 26? This is Jalen Waddle's offense at age 26. Are they going to go find the new Tyreek in the draft?
No.
Like
no, you're
maybe
100%
Zachariah
right.
Branch, unless they have to nail Zachariah Branch and go, yeah, he's going to play in that role, or nail Travis Hunter and put him in that role. But I don't think Travis Hunter's, you know what I'm saying though? You have to
100% know what you mean.
No, it's Waddle's offense in a year and a half.
Yeah.
And Walker, I hate putting injuries on people, but you know how the running back position goes. You know, I don't have to say it. The running back is the crown jewel at this point in Dynasty, and the crown jewel is defined as build the entire roster and put the cap on it with the running back. In the NFL, you put the cap on it with the quarterback, and in fantasy, you put the cap on it with the running back. And that cap should have been Bijan. It should have been Ken Walker or Brees 2 years ago. That's the crown, bang, put it on, you're done. Put it on, bang, you're done. Or hit on the guy later, whatever it is. That's so you're not trading Waddle for Ken Walker. You're holding Waddle because it's Dynasty, and you're gonna trade some other non-piece for Walker if you can. But I don't. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you mean. My rule of thumb, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, Cody. If this kind of articulates the plan for the people listening to what you just said. Running backs are the jewel. They're the last touch, the cherry on top. They should be acquired with picks, not players. That's my philosophy. So being you find yourself a contender, so your first round is not Marvin Harrison, it's not Mbuka, it's not Neighbors, it's not Caleb Williams, it's not a top end pick. The second round, obviously at the end of the second, you should now be looking to take that first and 24, any type of extra pick capital you have, and then go after your running back. No, my philosophy is don't typically subtract from your build for your jewel. Add it with picks. Add it in the waiver wire if you can. Get lucky if you have to. But that's where you get those jewels, because you're kind of running in place when you lose the point potential of a Waddle or a Wilson.
There's no shame in just go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and breaking news, there's no Bijan next year. And there's no Breece Hall next year. We hope Trayvon's good. We hope Braylon Allen's good. But you have Garrett Wilson and you have Waddle, and I'm assuming you probably have a decent third piece. So, you know what I'm cool with? I'm cool with you saying, my team's good enough. I'm going to make a championship run. I'm not going to be in the Marvin Harrison sweepstakes. I'm not going to be in the Caleb sweepstakes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send that first round pick next year for Ken Walker.
Yep.
I'll do that. But I'm not going to get rid of Waddle because Waddle means too much to my build. That's a pivotal piece in my build.
Yeah, and just think of all the veteran running backs that you can trade for. It seems like year after year after year. It seems like I loved what you said, Maddie, because that's exactly how I try to build my dynasty teams too. If it's a super flex, I start with quarterback. If it's a tight end premium, I got to have some tight ends. And we all know wide receiver values. They stick around the longest, man, especially if you can get some of the elite ones. And so the last piece, maybe the least important part of a build, because you can get them later. I mean, look at where David Montgomery, Isaiah Pacheco in dynasty startups, look at where those running backs were going. And not in the first 4 or 5 rounds, that's for sure, in super flex leagues. So I'm right there with you, man. I think running back, as great as Ken Walker is, and I love him. He's a fantastic player and was very underrated coming into the season. But you got to hang on to these stud alpha wide receivers, because those are some of the most important assets to have on your team for longevity and for the now. So it's that you're hitting on those players for sure. We have more questions. I don't know if we'll get to them all, but thank you. The chat is just alive and popping. You guys are killing it. We'll get to as many questions as we can. But I do want to ask you guys this, because we touched on it a little bit in the show that we did with you guys, the huddle, I believe it's called. There's a couple players that seem to be going in opposite directions. What?
You got it. You were on it an hour ago.
What did I do?
The huddle?
I wasn't gonna say anything, but I just saw Maddie's eyes.
Well, you know what, Seth? I shouldn't say anything. I am so excited to be here on the Dynasty Square Table.
Square table. It is a square table. It is
the dinner table, the Dynasty dinner table.
I'm so glad to be here on the Dynasty Din table.
You can call it whatever you want. The square table. It is a square. I don't know if we can get StreamYard to support
it's like a triangle to me.
A circular screen where we
like
all have a
pyramid. It's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I was on the Dynasty, whatever your show was called, and we were talking about.
Hey, Maddie, remind me never to invite this guy on our show again.
Yeah, can we delete that episode?
Oh, now you guys are doing it to me.
You know what, Cody? Let's get this fucking show demonetized.
God damn fucking show.
Oh, good. This is good stuff. This is good radio.
This is great content.
Yeah, this is what
you're on the dinner table.
This is everything that I've striven, if that's even a word, as the editor. I've strived to be. Is these moments right here on the Dynasty Roundtable. So if you like me fucking up the name of the show that I was on 30 minutes ago, you click the like button, subscribe to the channel.
This is what happens when Matt's not here. He doesn't have. We don't have control.
It's really all.
We needed Matt to reel us in.
It's really all Matt Babbich's fault. It's really.
This is Sam's fault. Sam's visiting Matt right now, so he couldn't be on the show. Shout out to the Babbiches.
That's right.
Babbiches.
That's
Shout
right.
out to you guys who be in town. The Babbiches, his parents.
How can I not? Everybody go follow Matt Babbich on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Babbich _ Matt 10. See, I know the fucked up part is I know his Twitter handle, but I can't remember the show that I was on with you guys 30 minutes ago.
Unreal.
But I know his Twitter handle because he's my co-host, man. Like him and I
he's awesome.
He's like my little brother. That guy. Love that.
And
guy.
Sam's in our league, so shout out Sam.
That's
Not
right.
in the chat because they're hanging out. He's usually in the chat though.
Devon Achane.
Now he's gonna butcher this one.
A-Chan,
like Pokemon.
We saw that. I think Jay in the chat gave us a phonics breakdown.
A Chan. Hey. So we have.
Oh, it wasn't Jay. It was Go Jin. I think it's A-Chan.
We have two players.
A-Chan,
and we have Jackson Smith and Jigba. One of them's going like this. One of them's going like this in Dynasty. So here's my question to you guys. Are we buying the Achan hype, and are we worried about JSN? You can go in any direction that you want to go in with that. Cody, what do you think?
I'm gonna burn the ships down right now. I'm gonna burn the ships to the ground. You ready for this one? Jump off the Achan yacht. Jump off of it.
It's
a yacht right now.
Wow,
it's a yacht right now.
It's a yacht.
He's a pretentious man. This Achan.
This is a Chris Johnson level yacht right now. This thing is huge.
Yep.
Right. Over 300 yards rushing the last 2 weeks. He's got 6 touchdowns. Again, we talked about it 2 weeks ago. This is unattainable, man. 22 touches, 230 yards. Like, this is unattainable to keep this up. And then he doubles down last week. He takes 11 touches for 120 and 2 touchdowns. We did the same shit with half the touches. Jump off the Achan yacht. I made a trade. Maddie's heard this 4 times now. September 3rd, before the season started. It was the worst trade of my life at the moment. I made a mistake. I was at the grocery store, walking down the aisle, got a trade offer on MFL on a Tuesday before the season started. And it said, first-round pick for Devon Achan. And I was like, shit, I'll take a first-round pick, except put the phone away, 2 days later, Thursday Night Football, setting my lineups. Wait, I have Devon H. Son of a. I realized 48 hours later that I traded for Devon H. Gave up a first round pick before it started. So your boy just put him on the block last night, and I'm going to trade Devon H. away for more than that first round pick, and that's a promise. And I'll be back, on the hurdle, probably on Friday or maybe next Tuesday, whatever it is.
You mean the huddle?
Son of a bitch.
Make sure you get that show right. The show name.
What the offer is, because I'm trading Devon Achane. I'm jumping off the Achane yacht, which is like literally driving next door to the Chris Johnson yacht of 2008. They're just
two yacht boys.
And you know what's going to be down below? It's a raft right now. The Jackson Smith and Jigba raft. I'm jumping off the yacht and I'm landing in that raft, and I'm going to drive over to the island. That's what I'm doing. I'm jumping off the yacht onto the Jackson Smith and Jigba raft. And when you compare what Njigba's done, I aligned it directly side by side with what Amon-Ra did. And the reason I put it right by side what Amon-Ra did his first 4 games of his career was because that was the comp coming out. Not because they both have a hyphen in their last name. Actually, Njigba's is in the last, Amon-Ra's is in the first. But they both, Amon-Ra was wide receiver 76 the first 4 games of his career, and Njigba 89. The snap shares 59, 56, 54, 53. Amon-Ra 64, 60, 43, 72. The output was nearly the same. 20 targets for Smith and Jigba, 12 receptions, 62 yards. 18 targets for Amon-Ra, 12 receptions, 113 yards. Very similar stuff. And that continued on through game 10 for Amon-Ra. And then the back end, he was wide receiver 2 from game 11 to game 17. I think a lot of you remember this. The difference is Amon-Ra played with Tyrell Williams, Quintez Cephas, Khalif Raymond, and TJ Hawkinson. So there was no real talent to really overcome. It was just kind of timing. But for me, I trust Jackson Smith and Jigba because of the talent that he is. And this football team is much more advanced than that Detroit football team was. You're seeing targets right now in Seattle going to Kenneth Walker. Ken Walker is a guy that his target share has risen 9% from last year when he's running a route. Noah Fant, the last 3 weeks, 40-plus receiving yards. Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf looking good. Once they figure out how to utilize JSN more, and it's not like he's not running routes, he's not getting opportunities. There's just dudes there. They're winning football games. They're happy. It's the same thing with Gibbs. He's on a raft right now too, for some reason, even though he looks good. Trust the process with these guys. You cannot just be like, oh, shit. Like I put it before the season started. You can ask Maddie. I put Jackson Smith and Jigba as wide receiver 7 in Dynasty, and I don't care. I locked it. On Excel. You can you can protect a row. I locked it. He ain't going. He can't go lower. It's locked. It's broken. I can't fix it. I can't edit it. It's done. I'm not doing it because I know what he is. And again, we have a 30-year-old vet in Tyler Lockett. You have a definition of an alpha in DK Metcalf. You have a savage, a dog, a menace at running back in Ken Walker. And you have a quarterback in Geno Smith that's competent enough to feed everybody the football. I promise you JSN's going to eat. You just got to give it time. So I'm jumping off the Devon Achane yacht, and I'm landing in that freaking raft, and I'm riding it to the beach because I'm going to have a damn good dynasty season, not having Achane on my roster at the start of the 2024 season and having all of the Jackson Smith and Jigba speedboats. Oh, there'll be speedboats by the end of the season.
So that was fantastic because I never thought a yacht. When it comes. There's so much like stock analysis with fantasy that I think the natural evolution is yachts. Because if you watch Wolf of Wall Street, I actually just watched it the other day. That's what he did. He climbed up and then he had a freaking yacht, and it was massive. It was beautiful, and that is what Achane is right now. He is on a yacht. Here's what I will say: when rubber meets the road, theory becomes practice for us dynasty gamers. If you're winning this year, if you're 3-1, 4-0, or 2-2 with a chance, I'm keeping Achane because that's the crown jewel. That's the last of the Infinity Stones for your championship run. If I'm middling or not looking to compete, I'm with Cody 1,000,000%. You are selling that yacht and cashing in big time. And when it comes to Jackson Smith and Jigba, I think the person in most of my leagues that rosters him hates me because I have sent out offers every single week he's bad. Because I believe it's inevitable. I believe he's inevitable. And in this offense, you know, the theory is they can't support 3 people. Well, they don't. They only have to support 2 because we haven't seen Lockett really do much other than that 2-touchdown game. And he only scored 25 points with 2 touchdowns. It wasn't like a really great game. He doesn't look like the difference maker that we've come to know. There's room for JSN. And 2 things collide when it comes to JSN. The bye week, which we all know is good for the installment, like the official anointment of these rookies, and the health. We forget that, what was it, a month ago? We thought his debut would be after the bye because of the wrist injury. So why don't we have that same mindset for a guy who just went 20th overall to an offense we believe in, to a team we believe in? So if you can get Jackson Smith and Jigba, you got to do it now. Because by the time the signs are there, he's an instant rocket ship. You're not getting in on it. That window closes so quick. It could have happened last week. Last week, JSN saw 6 targets, only caught 3 of them. If he had caught 5 for 50 yards, that window's already shut. You're not getting them. So, I mean, that's how razor thin we're talking with JSN. And with players like that, you got to try to buy when there's opportunities. And I think right now, like Dakota said, you got to try to get that raft because it's a tiny little raft to Devon A-Chain's boat. His yacht. Now, let me ask you guys this. If you had Devon A-Chain and you could get Jackson Smith plus. Dunzo. Now, what about straight up? You're not a contender. Done. You're not trying to win in 2023.
Done.
I won't say done because I think I can get more. I should be able to get more.
I think you could probably get more, but I think
you can.
In practice.
What I'm saying,
if you have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah, done.
Done and dusted.
But the thing is you can get more, though. That's the wild part.
That's the best part, yeah.
Yeah, I think as a general practice in Dynasty, we live in a society. We live in a society that's so like we do live in a society.
We live in a society
that is so like in the here and now. Again, when you were talking about that yacht, I couldn't help but think of Jeff Bezos' yacht that he had to tear down the bridge for in that one of those countries that he was traveling in, and that the bridge was like a historical thing, and they had it was a whole thing. Anyway, which is his yacht was ridiculous, by the way, just like Devon a Chan. I think
demonetization.
Hey, that's his name. What do you want to call it? It's A-Chan.
A-Chan.
If he had 3 siblings, it'd be 4chan.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm right there with you guys. I think it's been 2 games. Again, it's been a fantastic 2 games. One of those games was against Denver. I know the other game was against Buffalo, but the opportunities went down significantly this past week. We know Jeff Wilson's coming back. We know this is going to be usage-wise. I mean, usage-wise, Achane is getting more of the usage now than Mostert, but Wilson is going to come back, so we'll see how he factors in there. And this, I will say this too about this Miami offense. The Miami offense, we were talking about it early in the season last year about how good it was. Towards the end of the season, it kind of faded a little bit. So we'll see if they can keep this up. And you know, Mike McDaniel's a good coach, but we'll see. JSN, we forget that he outproduced Garrett Wilson and the other Ohio State receiver, Olave, in college, right? That year, that 1 year. So he's on, like, he's a talented player. And we'll see. I'm more on the JSN side than the Achane side, but I think I have to look at what I know and what I've researched over years and not weeks. So that's where I'm at too. So I'm right there with you guys.
Cody, let me ask you, what was the year Chris Johnson burst onto the scene?
208 was it? It was 2007, 2008. I want to say
2007 was his 2K year, the big year.
2008 was his rookie year. 2009 was the 2K year.
Okay, so in his rookie year. So we're not even calling it his rookie year. So like for the people that are saying, don't
This is
trade
what
the
he
next
is.
CJ2K, right? But we're not saying give away at the next CJ2K. We're saying trade him for Adrian Peterson. We're saying trade him for Ray Rice plus. Trade him for Steven Jackson plus. We're just saying down tier and really recuperate the value. That's all we're saying. So sometimes I think we put these labels on these players, but then we forget to put the surrounding labels on the other players that we're saying to trade for. We're not saying trade the next Chris Johnson for the next CJ Spiller. We're saying trade Chris Johnson for Maurice Jones-Drew plus Fred Jackson for plus whatever else was, the hot shit in 2009.
What do you think about this deal?
Give me Jason and Hall.
JSN and Hall.
For
Brees Hall and
Pittman and
JSN
T-Law.
in a 1 QB, so T-Law is almost useless in the 1 QB format. Yeah, I'm going to take JSN Hall.
Hall is back.
People forget about him.
He's not limited at all. We remember last year before he got injured, Brees Hall was on a path to be the RB1 in fantasy, right?
Yeah, and Cody, we were watching that game Sunday. That run was the indicator of how incompetent they were in that game, not trying to win that game. The Jets should have been beating him.
I was going, we did a live stream. We got our companion show we do on the Executives of Fantasy Football on YouTube on Sunday nights during Sunday Night Football. I was losing my shit at the fact that the Jets had this game at arm's length reach, but they were scared to put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands and to utilize Brees Hall, who looked 100%. He didn't look 100% 4 weeks ago with that 83-yard run. He looked 100% Sunday night with his lateral cuts and with that burst. He looked 100%. And then, of course, 2 days later, Saleh says, no restrictions. You damn right there's no restrictions going into Denver, who's given up 520 rushing yards the last 2 weeks. You damn right there's no restrictions. So, you got literally 3 days left to buy Brees Hall before his value goes ding. And they should start leaning on him. So that's, yeah. All
right. We got a couple more questions I want to get to when we're almost at an hour. So maybe we can go rapid fire here. This is a perfect rapid fire question, if you ask me. Who is your pound the table buy candidate? Maybe you've already talked about him. And who's your pound the table sell candidate? Is it JSN and Devon Achane? Did we just answer that question?
For me, my pound the table, and I can't pound the table hard enough to go buy this player. And I know his value is up right now. I don't even care, but go get Isaiah Pacheco right now. Over the last 2 weeks, he has 35 carries for 177 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's evaded the most tackles in the NFL in the last 2 games, and he's put up. He's coming off a 20-point game. And what is the reoccurring theme that we've talked about here on this very episode of the Dynasty Square Table, the Dynasty Din Table, was how bad Denver's rush defense is. Well, Pacheco will see that defense 2 times over the next 4 weeks. So if you're off to a bad start, but you believe this team can win, he might be the quintessential piece that can dig you out of that hole, given this upcoming schedule, given his continued usage on this team.
Cody?
I like that. You talked about him last night. Pacheco, I just cut that clip up, put it on YouTube. I think that's going to be Pacheco's a guy that people are kind of just in a weird space about, the same thing with kind of like a Dameon Pierce. So, and Pacheco's very high in the dog rating. You can find that one over at Patreon as well. But I think mine is this guy that's still 22 years old. He turns 23 on Friday. Turns 23 years old on Friday. And prolific. We already saw him have a 1,000-yard receiving season. Players at this position tend to play upwards of 34, 35, 36 years old. He just got overshadowed by a guy that had 9 targets in a game, that played with his current head coach on a former team. He's never going to have a worse quarterback than he has right now. The guy can't hit the broadside of a barn. My biggest buy right now is Kyle Pitts. I just watched him go for a 2nd and 3rd round pick in 2024.
Oh,
that's such a good answer. I just want to say, because Arthur Smith
is an idiot.
is one of the most inept coaches I've ever witnessed coach a football team. It's like
great person.
Yeah, I'm not saying like Matt Eberflus is a nice guy. You'd love to be neighbors with him. There's a lot of people I like and I think are nice that I don't think should be coaching a football team. I'm one of those people. I have no business coaching an NFL football team or a high school football team. I'll tell you that right now. You have the ultimate Porsche, Ferrari, Kyle Pitts, but you're like, nah, give me the 1989 Ford pickup truck, Jonnu Smith. Like let's feed Jonnu Smith. Like,
I lost my virginity in this truck.
That's right. I ain't trading it in for no foreign Kyle Pitt. Like I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying about the car.
Import. I don't need a Porsche. I don't need a
Kyle Pitts is only the most athletic tight end we've ever seen come, and he's proved it too. It's him and Dick Butkus. I mean, Mike Ditka, the tight end for the Bears that had that rookie record, like 1,000 yards receiving in their rookie season, and then it's like we're just kind of holding Kyle Pitts hostage right now. But he's a buy because A, Arthur Smith might lose his job. B, they're going to get another quarterback next year, and that quarterback.
They will not play with Ritter.
It might be Kyler Murray. No. It might be Kyler Murray.
0%.
It might be Kirk Cousins. I mean, think Justin Fields might be available. I don't know. All of those are better options. That. Well, you have to admit, Fields. Would you rather have Fields or Ritter? I'd take Fields.
I mean, I think Pitt's owners are going to be swinging from a ceiling fan if they trade for Fields. So,
Komet had 2 touchdowns. He had more action than Pitts.
But but I don't know. But if you look
Kyler
up like
Murray's out there, Kyler Murray's going to.
Kyler Murray might be out there.
That's a
great example.
Some trades that have just went through: Pitts for Ford and Ferguson, Jerome Ford and Jake Ferguson. Pitts for a 2024 first. I'll take Pitts in it for a 2024 first in premium league. Pitts for Ramondre in a second in a premium league. Pitts for a 2025 first. Like you're not paying premiums anymore on Pitts.
Right.
It's just like a baseline pick. It's not like I need 3 picks in premium leagues. Like it's not there.
Baseline Pitts.
Meanwhile, Sam Laporta is like not like the last game he had was an okay game, right? I just saw in a league like Laporta getting trade for Hawkinson straight up. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Like I like Sam Laporta as much as the next guy. I went to the university, the tight end U at Iowa. I mean, I loved it. Sam Laporta. I was on
back-to-back Hawkeyes.
I mean, he's going to be good, but for the other Hawkeye that's already proven he's an elite tight end in this league.
Nope.
Anyway, like this is what I'm talking about. We get so caught up in these, like Pitts is so good. Like that's such a good answer. Like he's only plummeting down, you know? So.
Yes. I'm interested. That was an interesting one. The problem is I'm in a couple leagues where you ain't getting Pitts at the discount. Like I am unfortunately in the no discount for Pitts leagues, or else I would try to buy. Especially in my home league, I got Kelsey. If I could somehow buy low on Pitts and literally not have to worry about him until Kelsey's gone, it would be the ideal situation. But he's just not obtainable in my league. I know he went for a first plus and a deal that involved Terry McLaurin was a big deal. So it's not always easy. But I like the call because if you can get him at a stash price and use, Schultz in the meantime, if you're not trading him for Ferguson, but you're able to pick up a Ferguson, you can use Ferguson in the meantime. You could really benefit. But you actually mentioned Cody, my pound the table sell, which is Ramondre Stevenson. I'm trying to get out now. Get out of Ramondre before it's too late. Get out of the Japa. 5th hardest schedule over the next month, according to PFF's defense grade. It could get really, really tough for a season that's getting tough for not him, but just the whole team. And when you look at his efficiencies, they're beginning to fall big time. 60th in true yards per carry now, 32nd in juke rate, 50th in yards per touch. He's still running a ton of routes, but this offense smells something awful. And all it takes is Zeke to be the hot hand against Vegas, probably their easiest matchup in the next 4. And all of a sudden you're looking at 6 straight duds for a guy like Ramondre, somebody who was hyper fragile on the dynasty market to begin with. Get out now, or you are going to be porked.
I think that's a good one. I think sometimes it's the sunk cost fallacy, right? Where he's like, just kind of holding on and hoping that something will happen. But man, I thought this New England offense would be better.
I thought it'd be
Bill
better.
O'Brien, and you're right there in New England or in that neck of the woods, Maddie. So you would know better than anybody. I mean, Mac Jones looks like the very definition of average. These wide receivers, I mean, Juju looks cooked. This offense doesn't really inspire much of anything. I mean, maybe not even Hunter Henry is really getting it. I mean, he was one of their leading targets.
2 games, that's it.
Yeah, that's about it. And I think you got to get out, even though you're selling at 50 cents on the dollar. Like, you got to get something.
This past game against the Cowboys have everyone questioning his longevity on this team. If he's the guy, you're hearing reports now from the national media that there's locker room concerns that they don't like the guy all that much, and the Patriots themselves aren't going to support him. And I'm sorry, this is what someone here locally on sports radio said, and I agree 1,000,000%. If he's your guy, you do not bench him, no matter how hard it is. You going to bench Mahomes if you're getting blown out? Well, Mahomes is a little bit different. He's at a different stage of his career, but like you're going to bench your guy, the guy. You're going to bench Herbert a year ago. You're going to bench Joey Burrow a year ago. No, you're not benching those guys. You're not benching Jalen Hurts when times are tough for a 4th round guy who's not the guy either. That's what goes back to the whole thing when Justin Fields too and Tyson Bagent. If they go to Tyson Bagent, even when it's darkest, that means they are donezo, like they are up here with Mac Jones.
Yeah, and to bring it full circle, it was that was the game where they benched Mac Jones was the game that Justin Fields broke out last year. That his first, they wiped the floor with New England. So,
Was that their last win?
Oh gosh, yeah, I think so.
Might be. It was a Sunday night or Monday Night Football.
It's been so long ago.
Week 4 or 5.
That's the problem, Maddie, is like we're thinking about when did the Bears last win a game? I know it's been 14 in a row, but I can't remember. It's like it must have been that New England game, I guess. I don't know. Like, because they were in a lot of close games with Justin Fields just going absolutely bonkers in fantasy football. But yeah,
it was the New England game.
Okay. And they beat Bill Belichick.
The Bears will probably beat him again this year.
Oh, dude. And you know what we were saying after that game? It's like, we got our quarterback, baby. Like, all these Bears fans were going nuts.
That's right.
Myself included. We just look what we did to Bill Belichick's defense with Justin Fields. So yeah, can I give you guys a sell real quick, and we'll see if you guys agree, and then we'll move on to happier. Well, maybe not happier, but other topics.
You give us a sell, and then I'm going to give you my last pound the table sell.
Okay. Well, I'll give you my pound. I've been knocking this guy off season. I'm just going to say it. I don't think this Packers offense is very good. It has nothing to do with me being a Bears fan. And I think Christian Watson, I don't know. Jordan Love, I don't think is very good. Christian Watson's like, I got laughed at, right? Which happens sometimes on this show. Chris Godwin, look, like I said, I had the audacity to say Chris Godwin, better dynasty asset than Christian Watson. Christian Watson apparently is going to the Hall of Fame. I don't know. Like, everybody loves this guy who's going to 3rd, 4th round of redraft. And I said, well, hold on, guys. Yeah, you weren't there for that? You weren't there for that?
Who are you drafting against?
In Underdog.
Packer fans?
In Underdog. It was widely accepted. Like, oh, this guy's going to break out based on 4 games last year, even though he doesn't have the quarterback that he had last year. As much as the night is darkest before the dawn. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has found a new dawn with the Jets, and now he's hurt, but that's another story. Like, jeez. I don't know this offense. Have you watched Jordan Love play? Are we good with him? I'm not. Like, he's terribly inaccurate. Christian Watson's going to be working deep down the field. Jaden Reed's there. Jaden Reed's great.
Jaden Reed is great.
And your guy,
right.
Your guy got like 12, 13 targets last week. Romeo Dubs or whatever his name is. He's in the mix. He's the very, and talk about another receiver who's the very definition of Josh Palmer average, Romeo Dubs. So I don't know, man. I just don't think this Packers offense is very good. Like, they can't get the running game going all of a sudden. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon's probably not that good. But yeah, AJ Dillon, I thought he would be a nice little buy in Dynasty. I was totally wrong about that. But I don't trust this Packers offense, number one. And he had, if not for the touchdown, where was he? Like, David Montgomery was coming off an injury, scoring like 3 or 4 touchdowns. And I was looking for Christian Watson. I was like, where is he? I can't see him. If it wasn't for that touchdown,
acid spewing
I couldn't see him at all. Where did he?
Guy had a 24% snap share in his comeback, and he's just, where was he? He was on the sideline because he was hurt. That's 24% snap share. I promise you, this week it'll be 75%. But hey,
he was hurt all last year too. Like that.
Hey, who's your editor for this show? Who's the clipper for this one?
This is Jay.
Jay, you're in the chat. I appreciate you. Thank you. You're beautiful. You do a great job. Clip the shit out of this right now so that on Monday night, after the Monday night game against the Raiders, you can clip this and you can use it. Utilize the shit out of this clip. Please.
I hope I have him on a few the value will just skyrocket up. So
so you have him? You use the biggest sell in Dynasty, but you have him
on like a team, like 2 teams.
Do you have him in the Dynasty Roundtable League? I'll take him.
No, I don't have him there. No.
See,
but I just don't understand. Here's
the thing about Christian Watson. It's like the UFC. You watch the UFC, Seth?
Yeah, on occasion. Yeah.
You ever see the nice submission? They just get squeezed until they have to submit. They have to give up.
Sure.
I have had my neck cranked by Christian Watson, and I am giving up. I am no longer caring about his touchdown magnet. He can do it. You've got me tapped in. He is a touchdown magnet. That's what he is.
Unless he's on the sidelines hurt. Unless he's that was the excuse.
I love this conversation right now. I love this conversation. This guy over here is vouching for the guy that had the touchdowns last year. And this guy over here is like, yeah, but what about David Montgomery? He had like 6 touchdowns on last week on Thursday night. And it's like, they both had touchdowns, brother. And guess what? My biggest sale right now is David Montgomery. You're welcome. It's David Montgomery. Get the hell out of here with David Montgomery. I'll take your 2nd-round picks in 2024 for David Montgomery. Let's see here. What else can we get? We can get Nico Collins in a traditional PPR 12-man league for David Montgomery. Come on down, Nico Collins. Join the squad. You can add Matthew Stafford in a 2 QB league with David Montgomery, and you can get a 1st-round pick next year. Come on down, 1st-round pick in 2024. Oh, you can get a 2024 second. I'll take that again. Welcome to the squad, 2nd-round pick of next year. Who else can we get here? We can get another 2nd-round pick and a shitty running back named Devin Singletary. We'll take that. Oh, we can get Chris Godwin. I'll take Chris Godwin. Come on down. We can get 2nd-round pick in 2025. Take that. We can get Deebo Samuel, and all we have to do is give up David Montgomery and Juju. Come on down.
You're taking a 25-second for David? No way.
Done.
No way. That's horrible.
He's 26.
No way.
He's 26, bro. He's 26.
And your league
and guess what's behind him?
25.
And guess what's behind him? Right? I called Charbonnet a Ford Ranger, and I said, you're not going to take the Ford Ranger and bring him in and play him in front of the Corvette. Right? You know what you have going. And let's okay. Right? But when you're in Detroit, you currently have a Ferrari sitting out back in the shed, and you're just like, pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. I got my international harvester in the front yard, who's just raking dudes over, scoring touchdowns behind a amazing corn-fed offensive line. You just raking over the corn, scoring touchdowns, right? And then guess what's going to happen? That Cessna with like 2,000 horsepower is going to go, meow, and all of a sudden, the international harvester's worthless. And that's Jahmyr Gibbs.
One thing you're leaving out of this equation, this analogy, is the farmer is Dan Campbell. And he wants to run over. He wants to eat some kneecaps.
He does. He don't want that.
He don't want to zoom. He wants to plow over.
Okay. So go. Guess what you should do? You should go buy Zonovan Knight then. Because I promise you, the guy that got already hurt this year, Probably not going to not get hurt again.
I
love
like Christian
an hour-
Watson. It's just like Christian Watson. He's probably going
And
to
I
get
also
hurt
think
again.
it's very interesting and very apropos that the Bear fan of all people is talking about accurate quarterbacks in Green Bay.
I didn't say just he did complete like 20 passes in a row.
He said, Jordan Love, are we sure he's even good? He's inaccurate as hell. I'm like, damn, bro, you do know inaccurate quarterbacks, I guess. You watch Iowa, you watch the Bears.
Dude, I'm an expert on terrible quarterback play. Trust me. And like suffering through it as well. So I don't know. Like I remember a real quick story that means absolutely nothing. I walked into a bar. It sounds like a joke, but it's not. This is a real story that happened. All right. Walked into a bar in Arkansas, and on the TV, it was like February, March, like football season was like, it was leading up to the Super Bowl, but college was over. It must have been January. And they were having a skills competition amongst college quarterbacks. And the two quarterbacks that made the finals were Jordan Love and Nate Stanley. I swear to God, I'm not making this up. And I was like, oh, Nate, the reason it caught my attention was because I saw Nate Stanley, a quarterback, terrible quarterback from Iowa, on the screen. And they were doing a skills competition. Do you want to know who won that skills competition? Nate Stanley versus Jordan Love.
Well, it's got to be Nate Stanley.
It was Nate Stanley beating Jordan Love in an accuracy competition. What do you want? What do you want me to say? I don't
practice better than this guy's analysis is Nate Stanley practiced better than Jordan Love 5 years ago.
Yeah. There's no evidence this guy was any good. He was bad in college. I don't understand.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
4 years ago, Nate Stanley sucked.
Oh, yeah.
Now, let's Google. What's Nate Stanley doing?
This is good stuff.
Nate Stanley.
What can we talk about? What Cody Googles
Nate
Stanley?
We currently have a six show streak in which Nate Stanley is brought up. I swear to you.
Nate Stanley hasn't touched a football since the 19th of July in 2022 when the Vikings said, hey, dude, come on over here for a week. We'll throw you on the squad. Nah, just kidding. Go back home. That was that. Jordan Love, however, has been playing behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years. And he's actually been playing football.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and dismiss
I'm just saying it's a real thing that happened.
Jordan Love did suck. He did suck.
Oh, he
but
still
he at least had upside.
He still does.
That's why he's in the NFL.
I
knew it. Jay, you're awesome. I knew the first thing that came to my mind was bagging groceries or working real estate. Bang, working real estate. Look at that in the comments.
I bet, man. I bet he's pretty good at that. I bet he's pretty good.
Selling farmland.
Guy.
His house sold per route run is so much better than Jordan Love's. That's
for sure. Nobody can quite spread out the cookies and the milk, for all the people who come in to the open house, not for Santa Claus, but for the open house.
I can't believe we talked about Nate Stanley again. Every time that we're together, I swear, if this show ends, when we wrap the show, if I have to watch the highlight of that one random running back again for the 15th time hanging out with you two, I'm going to watch it and hang out with you two.
All right. Real quick, before we go, I have to ask you guys, since you guys are, Dynasty
What
gurus.
the hell was his name? Theismann? Wiseman.
Oh, Wiseman for Heisman. Wiseman for Heisman.
This is deja vu.
I bet
Matrix is changing. Something just changed in the Matrix. I'm having deja vu.
I bet
this exact exchange 12 times has happened in my life.
I bet
What's his name? Theismann, Wiseman for Theismann.
Mark Wiseman, baby. Mark Wiseman.
He looked like he was 40 when he was 22.
This conversation has happened 16 times already between the three
modern day Peyton.
Yes,
Peyton.
that's exactly what we said last time we talked about him.
I just broke. Yep. Peyton what? Peyton
Hillis.
Peyton Hillis. I was going to say on Willis. The cover.
Peyton Hillis was on the cover of Madden. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. He's a hero. Peyton Hillis is a hero.
Yeah. Still revered in Cleveland by some people. I got to ask you, how valuable are these 2024 rookie picks going to be? Because I'm getting I don't know about y'all, but I've got some. I've got more than the average bear, and I'm pretty excited about this 2024 class. What do you guys think?
I think this is one of the most important classes for a rebuilding franchise in Dynasty that we've seen in the last handful of years, because two reasons: the potential depth at quarterback and the potential depth at high-end wide receivers, where you could expedite a rebuild if you land yourself a couple of good wide receivers. Something that comes to mind is if you got Chase and Smith, Chase and Waddle. You can truly Jefferson and Lamb was in the same year. If you can get yourself two of these potentially stud receivers, you can expedite your winning window leaps and bounds. So it's very important to get some extra 24 picks if you're rebuilding.
And again, I love this class too. We dove into it on patreon.com/executives. Me and Maddie did for about 40 minutes on Sunday night talking about this quarterback class, which I think is a very diverse conversation, just involving the amount of guys that are in it with the amount of guys that could leave. So if you want to go check that out, you can go check that out, as well as we're currently working on our cornerstone rankings, which is the 2023 class with the 2024 class and the 2025 class held together. So you'll be able to rank the classes combined and see kind of where you want to disperse your picks that you do have. That's, Brock Bowers. Everybody knows who Brock Bowers is, but the big conversation I think is going to start and end at quarterback, and Caleb, Drake. But really what's going to come next is Bo Nix. Is going to be Quinn Ewers. You're going to get the KJ Jeffersons, the Cam Wards. They're going to be the values, I think, at the quarterback position. But really what we're looking for in Dynasty is there a running back? And I mentioned it earlier, breaking news, there's no Bijan in this class. Now, again, there is a Travion Henderson. There's a Braylon Allen. Braylon Allen's about a 245-pound truck. He's kind of a mixture between the AJ Dillon and the Derrick Henry, kind of a mixture in there. He's only 20 years old. Travion Henderson's just a little over 20 and a half. And Henderson was looked at as the stud. Will Shipley's a guy that everyone dreamt of being the next Christian McCaffrey. We haven't seen it yet out of Clemson. Rocket Sanders out of Arkansas is disappointed. Trey Benson's kind of disappointed. Donovan Edwards from Michigan's taking a step back. Blake Corum, who's borderline a midget, has looked a lot better this year after coming off of ACL. But, he's coming off of ACL, and he's going to be 23 years old by the time the draft rolls around. So I think you're going to want more second-round picks than I think first-round picks if you don't have a top four. I'm going to be looking at the top four and then round two. That's kind of where I'm going to be focusing all of my stuff right now. Currently, it's October. I get that. So things are going to move and shake and migrate between now and then. But the running back position is interesting to me. And then, of course, you have wide receiver, which starts and ends in Ohio. Marvin Harrison, Emeka Egbuka, and then on from there, the conversation between Neighbors, Xavier Worthy. Like, there's plenty of wide receivers to come around and go around, and I think you're going to be able to find a receiver anywhere between round 1 and 2. But I think the strength and the depth comes at quarterback.
Absolutely, yeah. Some of my favorite players. Like, I know Trey Benson's not having the best season so far, but Trey Benson, very intrigued by him. Rome Udunze from Washington is having a good season.
He looks fantastic.
I was high on him early in the process. I'm still very high on him. And Malik Neighbors. Those are like my three of my favorite prospects. Like, Malik Neighbors looks like a freak to me. And I know obviously you got the Ohio State receivers that are awesome. Marvin Harrison, Egbuka. I'm super Brock Bowers, and then obviously Caleb Williams at the top. Is like a super
Drake
flex.
May is going to be a difference maker.
Drake May, yes. Drake May, I think, is like would come into the league at like middle, like ranked 15th, like quarterback in the league. Like, I think that's how good he is. I'm very bullish on him. It's a good class, man. I'm very excited.
And my rule of thumb currently for the 24 class when it comes to picks, if you are a year away, stock up on seconds, because you can now pick up 2 or 3 of these running backs and hope one of them hits. But if you're looking for 2025 and beyond, it's a 2 or 3 year wait. You just want as many firsts as possible so that you can just go back to this receiver well, go back to this quarterback well, and come away with potentially, 2 receivers, 2 quarterbacks, or a quarterback, 3 receivers. Like, truly stockpile on some difference-making assets.
I agree. I couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, we're approaching an hour and a half. I got to get you out of here. Plug what you got to plug, and then give me a bold prediction for the rest of the season. We'll start with you, Cody.
All right. Well, first things first, the Executives of Fantasy Football on YouTube. We just created this channel about 4 weeks ago. We started the Hurdle, which is Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We got guests coming on there. Tonight was episode 11 with Seth Dewald. It wasn't the Hurdle, though. It was actually the Huddle because we were on the Dynasty dinner table tonight. So, there's a whole little, mix mash. We're trading spaces and bullshit like that. But you can go check that out on YouTube as well as patreon.com/executives, where I just mentioned our cornerstone rankings. We're doing the executives show every single week. This week we talked about the 2024 class and the quarterbacks and why Shedeur Sanders will not be in this draft class, as well as a couple of other guys. And on top of that, Undercovered Ops, the show that you all know at Player Profiler. I brought it back because I was annoyed on Twitter to do it. And I said, Maddie, I think I'm going to put this shit on Patreon, I guess. So Undercovered Ops, episode 3 drops tomorrow. Episode 1 was post week 2. We nailed Jaleel McLaughlin 2 weeks early. Last week, we nailed Michael Wilson. Again, we've been on Michael Wilson forever, but we got you even more Michael Wilson last week before the 7 for 7 for 82 and a touchdown, 2 touchdowns going at game, 7 for 7 for 7, whatever the fuck it was. You get the fucking point. Tomorrow, we'll be back with even more Undercovered Ops on patreon.com/executives. Now, for the bold take for the rest of the way. I think this is bold. Let's ride with it, huh? Breece Hall, running back 3, ROS.
Go get some Breece Hall. And while you're in the hunting mood, go find me on X. I'm at Matty Keywoom. Of course, you got to be tapping into the executives of fantasy football. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We need to crack 100 subscribers. People, get out there and subscribe. Check out the Huddle or the Hurdle. Depends on who you ask. Seth, it's the Hurdle because we're hurdling people to the next day where there's football to watch. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays. Check the patreon.com/executives. Like Cody said, we got a lot of stuff going on there. And then the Sunday hang, the Sunday companion, Sunday Night Football companion is going to take off. It's going to be a ton of fun. You'll see us on there. We're going to have some guests on where we can just hang out, have some fun. And it's like watching football with some of your boys. So you want to check that out. Of course, Game Plan here on Player Profiler every Saturday. Trade Gods is the alternating show with the Dynasty Roundtable. So you can check that out. Yeah, that's going to be everything. And I have to go bold now with my bold pick. Isaiah Pacheco is the running back 5 over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I love that. Love Cody's take too. You can follow me on. We'll get to it. All right, just hold your horses. You can follow me on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOD. You should like the video right now. Subscribe to the channel. And check out the work of our talented writers, including Matty Keywoom, on playerprofiler.com, news and articles section. My bold prediction is that trading away David Montgomery, even in Dynasty, is going to be one of the biggest mistakes you'll make, especially if you're competing now. David Montgomery is going to finish as a top 10 running back in fantasy points per game, and he's easily going to outscore Jahmyr Gibbs this year, even though Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get utilized more in the passing game. But we saw David Montgomery get some targets in this last game. We know who the red zone running back is, so we're going to see more of the same.
Milk it. Milk Montgomery for everything you can get. Milk it. Yeah, you got it.
There you go.
Yes, that is a fake boob.
Oh my gosh.
His stress ball. That's
this
a
is
stress
a new
one.
This is a
This
is a stress boob.
You guys don't know nothing about the grip game.
Well, until next time on the Dynasty Roundtable, nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers, even though we wish you the best, Aaron. I know you're probably a little upset that you're not the one dating Taylor Swift, but you're going to have to get over that, all right? There are plenty of attractive, famous people that are women
that loves
that
doing
you
drugs.
that you can date, that you can go have a silence retreat with.
Yep.
So you go for it. Have a blast. We'll see you this time next year, so we can watch you suck. Almost you can be almost as good as Jordan Love. And we'll catch you next time. Bye bye, everybody.